are real? Raise your hand. How many of you think they are not real? Raise your hand. Thank you for voting. It's really exciting when someone asks a question and you try to answer it. Do you know when you do that, you are thinking the way a scientist thinks? That is exactly what scientists do all the time. They ask questions and they try to answer them. And I hope every person who comes to Placerita tries to be a scientist. You can be a scientist. Some people are scientists and that's their job and they get money for being scientists. Some people are scientists and that is just what they like. It helps them have a happier life. And we are looking for more and more citizen scientists. And so every one of you can be a citizen scientist today and every day. Let me tell you, some of you who said these animals aren't real, you might have been thinking of a different definition for real. When I say real, I mean they are or ever were alive. Almost all these animals were alive at one point. We didn't kill them, but when they died, we brought their body here so that you can get a good close look at some of these animals. Almost all these animals are animals that live in Placerita Canyon. Almost all of these are animals that if you were really, really lucky and you were here at the right time of day, you might be able to see them. Now today, a lot of these animals will be here, but they'll be hiding. There's another animal here at the very back that doesn't live here anymore. A grizzly bear. How many grizzly bears live in the wild in California? So why do we have that animal here? Do you know grizzly bears used to live here?
Yeah.
When people came, they didn't get along well with the grizzly bears and they killed every one. So grizzly bears are extinct in our area, but there are still grizzly bears that live in other places. So the other animals, there are some that are still living. You see the turtles there in the water?
Oh, now I do.
There's some live snakes over there. Okay, sit down, please. Sit down. You know what? Later on, after we give a little talk and tell a little story, we'll bring some snakes that are alive out here so you can get a better look at them. But before we get started with that, I want to share a story with you. This is a really, really important story. It isn't the normal kind of story that has a beginning and a middle and an end. That's right. If this story had an end, we would all be in really big trouble. If this story had an end, all the things that are alive in the way that we understand living things on our earth won't be able to be here anymore. That sounds pretty important, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So let's see why. Now this story, since it doesn't have an end, it's a circle story, but we're going to start with something that's super important. Now, when you first got here, you were sitting on the bus for a long time. You got out, you were sitting down on the steps, you were eating your delicious lunch or snack. I smelled a lot of good things, some nice nutritious things that you were eating. There were some birds flying around, you were noticing them. Did anyone even notice you were sitting right underneath some beautiful trees?
Yeah.
Some of you noticed those trees? Good for you. Because you know what? A lot of times people don't notice plants very much. Plants are kind of quiet. They pretty much just sit in one place. Seems like they don't do much. They are actually doing a lot. And that's why we're going to start our story with a tree. This is a drawing of a tree, just like the ones that you were sitting under. This is a drawing of an oak tree. Now this oak tree is able to live out there because it has all the things it needs for living and growing. This tree has lots of nice nutrients, like all those good oranges and apples and things that you were eating are filled with good nutrients for you. This tree is going to get its nutrients from the soil. And the tree is also going to get the things it needs from a place that we can't get. Do you know that trees and other green plants are able to make their own food?
Yeah.
You already knew that?
Yeah.
I kind of thought you looked like a smart group. You don't even know the scientific name for that?
I do. Food.
Okay, well, food, that's probably not the scientific word I was talking about. I heard someone say photosynthesis. Everyone go ahead and say it, and you'll sound really smart. Oh, so much smartness. Okay, photosynthesis, what does that mean? A tree can make its own food using 3 ingredients. What are they?
And sunlight.
Sunlight. Sunlight is so important. The sun is sending energy to our earth all the time. Can you use the energy that's coming from the sun?
Yes. And solar panels.
Solar panels do give us, do make it so that we can use some energy from the sun. But what about you? What about for your body's energy needs? Can you use the energy of the sun?
Yeah.
Okay, let's think of an experiment. Your body needs energy, and your body is telling you it needs energy by telling you, I'm hungry. I'm hungry, I'm hungry, I'm hungry. You're so hungry, you need some energy. Let's go out to the sun and open our mouth and get some energy, right? Right? You can't get energy from the sun because your body doesn't know how to make the energy that's coming all the way, all the time from the sun into a way that you can use it. Plants know how to do that. They know how to catch that energy from the sun and put it into a usable form. And they need 2 things to help them do that. I already heard someone say one of the things.
Soil.
Okay, they do need the nutrients that are in the soil, but that's not one of the ingredients for photosynthesis. Thank you for thinking of it. A lot of people are saying water. How does this tree get its water? We're going to drink it. Gulp, gulp, gulp.
No.
We're going to put this water down in the soil because that's where the tree is going to suck it up. One more thing it needs. Air. So this tree knows how to do photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is taking the energy coming from the sun and it uses the water and the air. It puts that together in a chemical that can hold that energy and it's in a usable form. Green plants can do that. Animals cannot. There isn't a kind of animal that can do that. And that's why all animals need to have the energy that the plants put together in that usable form. And that's why we're going to see how different plants and animals can work together in our environment. So here's this tree. It has lots of sun, lots of air. The nutrients are in the soil. There's water. And what we're going to do, we're going to use this and say this represents all the things that a living thing needs so that it can grow and live. And we're going to call it energy. It's the energy coming from the sun, it's the nutrients and the water, all those things. We're going to see how the energy moves around in the system. But first, our oak tree is doing so well that it is able to grow one of these. What is this?
Acorn.
Did everyone think it was an acorn?
Yes. It's a nut. It's a nut. It's a nut. Seed. It's acorn.
Okay. Thank you for all of your ideas. And you know what? All those ideas are right. Those are all different ways of describing what this tree just grew. The special name for an oak tree seed is an acorn. An acorn is a kind of nut because a nut is a kind of seed. And this is actually a little package of, what do we call this? Energy. So this little package of energy that the tree produces has everything that a new tree would need to get a start on its life. Okay, so we know that this little energy package could start a new oak tree, right? What would happen if this seed fell right off the tree into the ground there? Who thinks it has a good chance of growing? Raise your hand. Who thinks it doesn't have a good chance of growing? Raise your hand. Thank you for to now do a science thought experiment. So we're just going to think about this in our head. So here is a starting baby, tiny little tree. It's going to make some tiny roots and send it next to the giant root network that this big giant oak tree has already made there, sucking in the nutrients, sucking in the water. Those tiny little roots going to have any nutrients and water to suck in? Let's think about this baby tree putting up some tiny little green leaves so it can catch the sunlight that's coming in. Underneath that giant oak tree with all its leaves and shade that is sending down below. Is that baby tree going to have much of a chance of getting the things it needs to live and grow? No. Probably not. So we are going to rewind our story, put that back up, and we're going to bring a helper in because in our environment, lots of different animals and plants work together to help each other. And I have another character for the story. What is this? It is blue. It is a jay, but it's not a blue jay. It's called a scrub jay. And this scrub jay, you have a really good chance of seeing one of these on your hike today. Let's see if you see a scrub jay. It's kind of the wrong time of year for you to see this happening, but I've seen it lots of times. Coming to the oak tree, taking an acorn, putting it in the ground. Why do you do that? Now acorns, those little nuts, those little seeds, remember they're full of energy. And if this bird needs energy, he can eat that and get the energy, but he didn't eat it, he put it in the ground. Why did he do that? Remember, if you're a scientist and you hear a question, you try to think of an answer. Why might he do that? You have an idea for us?
Maybe he accidentally dropped it while he was carrying.
He might have accidentally dropped it.
Because he put it into the ground because I think he decided to put it into the ground for more acorns to grow.
That would be really smart. You know, it takes a long time for a new acorn to grow on an oak tree. The oak tree has to be at least 20 years old before it starts making acorns. So this bird, he's not going to be around that long, but that's a good idea. One more idea. Let's see.
So they store it so they can eat it later. Yeah, that's exactly.
That's what squirrels do. You know what? If you were thinking of that, squirrels do that. Lots of animals do that, and scrub jays are one of the animals that do that. So he put that there so they come later because acorns have so many good things in them. They're such a good food for so many animals that you have to get them while they're ripe or they're going to be gone. And so he put some away for later, but he doesn't always come back. And sometimes that acorn is going to be able to grow some roots. And it's going to be able to grow some leaves. And you know what? Once it has those green leaves, it's going to be able to start doing a tree photosynthesis and making its own food, and then it's going to be filled with
what?
Energy. And guess what? Now we're going to see this energy start moving around in our system. So I'm thinking of an animal that is an insect. It's in its baby form. When it grows up, it will be a butterfly, but right now we call it a caterpillar. This caterpillar needs energy. Can you get it directly from the sun? No. But you can get it from the leaves because they put it into a usable form for themselves and the other animals can use. So this caterpillar is going to eat these leaves, and when he does, he's going to get energy. That's right. I'm thinking of another animal. An arachnid. 8 eyes, 8 legs. I have a spider. You are right. This particular spider is a black widow spider. This spider needs caterpillar, and when it does, it will get
Energy.
This is, all right. Sometimes we call this a food chain, but sometimes we call it a food web. A chain, it sounds like there's always one thing that is dependent on one other thing that's dependent on one other thing. In a web, there are other ways that things can go around, but you are exactly right. That's what we're talking about. Okay, here's a little hole right beside this oak, this baby oak. Living in that hole, I have a This is a gopher. A gopher is an herbivore. That means he eats herb is another way of saying plants, kind of an old-fashioned way. When this gopher eats these roots, he's going to get energy. That's right. Okay, crawling along the ground. I didn't have to give very many clues on that one. What kind of snake is this? No, it looks kind of like
It's a boa, and here it's like a red
Okay. Thank you for sharing your ideas. This is a snake that looks kind of like a round snake, but it actually is named after his favorite food. This is a gopher snake. This gopher snake is going to eat this gopher, and when he does, he's going to get energy. All right. I'm now thinking of an animal that is a carnivore. Carnivores eat meat. That's right. You are right. You saw his red tail, and you guessed this was a red-tailed hawk. When this red-tailed hawk eats this gopher snake, he's going to get energy. Now, where did this energy come from? And where did he get it? And where did he get it? And where did this plant get it? It's the same energy that came from the sun. You can see it going through the system. All right. I'm thinking of an animal that is an omnivore. Omnivores are animals that eat plants and meat. You are so good at your science terminology. It's really great for you to know those words that help describe things. Okay, so this omnivore is an animal that would probably be happy to eat just about anything you see on the board. Sometimes he eats pet food. Sometimes he eats pets. Sometimes he eats trash that bad guests at Placerita. That is a good guess. Most of those things would describe I'm talking to you about a coyote, but you're right. Raccoons like those things too. So this coyote is going to eat all sorts of things, and when he does, he's going to get okay.
That's triple.
All right. So, what if I told you that there isn't an animal that loves to eat coyotes?
That's so untrue.
Does it look like? No, that's a real piece of information. So it looks like our story has an end, which remember that would be really, really bad news.
There is no end.
There is no end, but this is the end of the food web the way it's been working. So now we're going to have to go into a different phase of our food web. We're going to have to talk about a different kind of thing happening. And in this case, I'm afraid it's going to involve an accident. So let's say a strong wind comes up, knocks this branch off the oak tree. It hits the coyote on the head, and we wind up with dead coyote. You know what? We also wind up with dead oak tree branch, because even though there are still green leaves left on this branch, it's not connected anymore roots that are going to be able to suck in water and nutrients. So this is going to be dead too. So all the nutrients that were stored in these living things are stuck in them, and we need one more team to help us connect up the ends of our stories. Now this team is a really, really important part of this story. We call this team the FBI. Now, this is not the FBI that you sometimes see in movies and TV shows, the people that are trying to get the bad guys and put them in jail. This FBI is way more important than that FBI, because anywhere you go in the whole world, this team of fungus, bacteria, and insects are the decomposers that help to break down this tissue and put the nutrients back in the soil so we can use them all again. You gotta admit that's kind of a cool story, right? Yeah. And then the tree can use them again, and it can go through the system again, and we can keep doing this all over again and again, except what would happen if some people said, you know what, I really don't like spiders. They're kind of scary and icky. I think we should get rid of all the spiders in the world.
No.
Does our story still work?
No.
You know what? Since this isn't a food chain, it's a food web, there might be a few more caterpillars around. They might eat more of the leaves, but it still kind of works. Nature is very resilient, and it makes adjustments. But what if we also said, I really don't like gophers. They came and ate my garden and made some holes in the field at our school. Let's get rid of all the gophers.
No.
Does our story still work? The gophers do a job of making it so the soil isn't as compacted and it's easier for the roots to grow out. There isn't quite as much food for the snake left anymore, but it can probably adjust. But you can start to see the more things we take off this board, the harder it is for our story to keep going and going and going. Now here's the really, really important question for you. I need everyone to put on your scientist mind so you can answer this question. Are you a part of this story? Yes. Raise your hand if you think you are. You are a part of this story. Every living thing is a part of this story. And people are so smart and so strong that they can make choices that help it so that this story will keep going or not. And even though you are only in first grade, you are already old enough and smart enough to start making choices that will help us to have this story so that it keeps going and going for a long time. And I hope you will do that. And I also hope you will have a great time while you are here at Placerita today. We have a couple of animal visitors to come and see you, so I'd like you to sit quietly. If it's an animal that is scary to you, you just keep yourself still and quiet, because none of these animals are even allowed to let you touch them. So go ahead, and we are ready for our animal visitors.